I distinctly remember having a huge bowl of vanilla ice cream. Now that I think back on it, I probably was trying to eat away my pain. So that's a different podcast. Right after Austin had died. And the very first spoonful of vanilla ice cream that I put in my mouth was so sweet and so cool. And I could literally, it was like the vanilla bean were jumping off of my tongue and my taste buds. And I remember thinking, oh, man, this is so good. And instantly, right afterwards, feeling guilty that I was enjoying something. In the beginning stages of when Austin had died, and when you and I didn't know anything about grief, I had convinced myself that I was supposed to feel bad all the time. I was supposed to be in the grieving state all the time. And I didn't find out till much later that grief goes up and down, that your emotions change, that you could literally enjoy something and still be grieving. It was such a shock to the system. It's almost kind of like, it's not this way, but when you and I just did the podcast on conflicted feelings, it's almost like conflicted feelings, but we hear grievers tell us all the time, like they went to a movie and they thoroughly enjoyed it, or they went to a movie and they would not let themselves enjoy it. They almost like they're punishing themselves because they're supposed to be that way when they're grieving.
Yeah, this definitely could be a segue from conflicting feelings, because it's kind of like that, because you have the high and the low in the same moment. But we do hear a lot of people say that they don't feel as though they should be able to enjoy something, or don't feel as though on the days that they're not weighted down by the sadness and the pain, that it's okay to have those days. They feel like they need to carry the heavy sadness every single day into every single moment that they have. I personally didn't. I'm trying to think back, and I don't remember having that as a experience of feeling bad for enjoying moments. I do know that right after Austin passed, well, prior to Austin passing, the group that was on the boating trip with him, we had all planned a trip to Puerto Vallarta. We were going in July, and he passed in June. And there was a lot of talk about whether or not we should go on the trip, because it's like, oh my God, we had this horrible thing happen. Who are we if we still go on this vacation? But that meant that the thousands of dollars that everybody spent to do the all inclusive would have been lost. So we made the decision to go. Now, I did not have the moments where I felt joy. I mean, I just felt numb and kind of in shock. But I can imagine that if I had that experience now, knowing what I know about grief, I would probably understand it more, of like not wanting to have the fun in the pool and
Yeah.
have the fun dinner, because we should be grieving. We shouldn't be planning these fun excursions with our kids. We should be sitting in the hotel room, holding each other somberly and crying. But that's not reality, honestly, because there's still life that has to be lived. You have to go to work eventually and talk to your coworkers. And one of your coworkers might say something funny and you laugh at it. That happens because life goes on, and we have to participate in life. We still have to live and grieve at the same time, which is what you share a lot.
Yeah, it's called grieving and living.
Right. So it's to be expected you have moments where you would feel a little bit of joy in the darkness, a little bit of light in the darkness throughout your day.
I still go back to that very moment when I was walking up the stairs to tell you that Austin had, in fact, drowned, and thinking the thought, I don't know how to do this. Because I think that's also with a lot of our grieving friends. They don't know how to do this. So they do what they think they're supposed to do. And what we think we're supposed to do is be sad. we're supposed to be sad for many, many days, and our face is not supposed to show any joy. And that whole tradition of wearing the black. And you and I keep saying we're going to do a show about the different types of traditional grief in the different cultures. And we definitely got to get that done, because that, I think, what people have done years and years and years back has come back onto us. It hangs heavy over us as we try to do our own grieving experience. You and I were just sharing this the other day with a client, that I distinctly remember I was 14 years old when my grandmother died, and I was invited to my first house party, and I had gotten permission to go. And my grandmother died. My mother went to Louisiana for the funeral, and my dad was at home by himself, and the party was approaching, and he told me that I couldn't go, that it was inappropriate for me to be attending a party. Of course, I was 14 years old. I didn't see it that way. I probably still don't see it that way, but basically, and so he and I got into an argument, and I wanted him to put a time frame on the amount of time that I couldn't do things out of respect for my grandmother. Now, this is my first house party, so it was really important to me, and I had an outfit and everything already, you know? But he finally threw out the word a month, not 30 days, a month. So I had to be sad for a month. He finally, because I badgered him to death to give me that time frame. And so Mama was gone, and Daddy was like, he didn't know what to do with me. And I was just like so mad about this party. I cried, I screamed. I can still remember standing in the kitchen and having this fight with him, but he threw out those 30 days, right? And so would it have made a difference for me to go to the party and enjoy my life? And I was trying to convince him that my grandmother would have wanted me to go to the party.
I think she would have wanted to go to the party. I think that's why I don't necessarily feel as though I've had those experiences after the boys died, because I always looked at it from that perspective, knowing the relationship I had with the boys. They would want me to be happy. They wouldn't want me to be miserable. And that's how I've always thought about it for me personally. But just think about like stories that we know and clients we've worked with when they've had a death in the family and then a baby is coming in, right? Like,
Yeah.
Are you not supposed to celebrate or be happy that whoever is having that baby, especially when the baby gets there? I think there's the misunderstanding. It's not that you feel bad for feeling good. It's that you're sad that person is not there to share in that experience with you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that you were sad when you took the taste of that vanilla ice cream, that you couldn't have said to Austin, I had the best vanilla ice cream the other day.
Yeah.
It was so good. You and I are going to go get some and you would love it.
Yeah.
It's that. I think the misunderstanding is that the sadness of the person not being able to be there to share in those happy moments with you.
I agree with you 100%. It is one, that's it right there. That is 100% what it is. And it's that they would have always, they really love vanilla ice cream. How can I enjoy this? But I also feel that it's sort of like we laugh out loud during the grieving experience. And it's like we feel other people are watching us how we're grieving.
Right.
So we start to judge our own grief.
Oh, totally. Because
we grade ourselves. You know, you get graded from the moment you get here, right? So you get that is the APGAR score the moment you get here, right? Is that right? Am I saying that right? You get that APGAR score the moment you get here. So from the moment we get here, we're being graded. We get graded in school. We get graded by our parents. We totally get graded. And then we begin to grade our own grief. Am I doing this right? Is this the proper way to do this? I shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be enjoying vanilla ice cream. After all, Austin's not here to enjoy it with me. I should be really sad. Other people are looking at me. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. We start to put this pressure on ourselves about how we're doing our own grief.
Well, and the thing that you say all the time, and that's one of the things I love about us working together. You always say what I say and I always say what you say. Makes me laugh. Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So the fact that we took that Puerto Vallarta vacation after Austin died, I was still grieving. I was
Yeah.
absolutely broken to my soul,
Yes.
but we decided to take the trip anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the trip stopped us from grieving. That's part of the society grading us. That's part of the people wearing the black for the full year. Just because you wear the black, you're grieving. In movies we see that, but we still see them going to dances and parties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the shows. It's something society tells us that's not even real. It's not true because you're still grieving. You may not be showing it outwardly. You may be putting on a brave face and, faking the funk, but you're still grieving.
Oh yeah. The you said wait, what was the statement that I say? Because there's a different part to it that I
Wherever you
added
go, there
on.
you
It's
are.
like wherever you go, there you are, and wherever you are, you have your broken heart with you.
Yeah.
So even whether you guys had chosen to stay here or gone to Puerto Vallarta, which I need to say this is a decision that only the griever can make for themselves. You can't help them make that decision because when you questioned me about it, I said, I don't know. I don't know. It's a decision you have to make for yourself because you have to live with that decision, right? But wherever
Right.
you go, you take your broken heart with you. So here you are in the most beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places on earth, and your heart was 100% broken.
And I
You
gotta
could fake
say,
the fuck. You could
yeah,
fake the fuck as long as you wanted to, but you were still grieving.
we had different seats because I had dropped out of the trip and then they added me back on. I didn't sit with anyone in the group. I sat with these two ladies. I cried the entire way from the minute that plane took off because I was leaving Austin behind. And I was so
Oh,
sad. So it's like, and then I think if my memory serves, they were talking about some sort of sad situation they were in. I can't remember exactly what it was. So it was just salt on my wound because it was like
oh my gosh,
they
those
were.
poor ladies that had to cigarette stew on the plane. They're probably still talking
Well,
about
thank
that.
God I had the window seat, so I was facing towards the window. And Lewis kept coming back and checking on me. And the more he checked on me, the more I cried because it was like, just leave me alone and let me get it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because I got on the plane and made the choice to go on the trip did not mean I wasn't absolutely 100% broken.
But Erica, sometimes we think we're not supposed to enjoy things. And
Yes,
that goes back to like the tradition of the family. Like, what if you guys had not have gone? What if
we
you
still
guys decided to waste those thousands of dollars because you were in the grief? What if you
yeah,
decided not to go? It wouldn't have made that big of a difference. And it wouldn't have made that big of a difference as far as your grief was. You still would have been grieving. And the kids all came back with these amazing stories about Austin because of that trip.
right, right. We tell ourselves we're not supposed to do it because that's what society says. Whatever your culture, whatever the time frame, that's what you have to do for that however many days. And for our father, it was apparently 30 days.
It was 30 days. I didn't get to go to
in,
that party.
in some cultures, it's a year,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So could you imagine that you're not supposed to live for a year? You know what I mean?
Well, and then some people feel like they do that 1 year and then they still feel not healed or recovered. And so they decide to carry it on. We've actually met people that are still wearing the black many years after their loved one has died out of a line of respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're turning the grief on yourself.
Right. Because
Turning the
you're
grief on yourself.
you're
Okay, hear me. There's no time. I'm sorry, Erica, to cut you
no,
off. There's no time limit in the amount of time that we're supposed to grieve, but there's also this part where we are supposed to grieve and heal that broken heart. That's more than anything we ever talk about. That's the true part.
right.
The
And
grief
going
has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I guess I have so much to say. I'm going to keep talking over you.
well,
Grieving
it's
has
funny
a beginning.
when you hit those points, you just want to get them out before we forget them. I get it. It does have and you have to actively grieve. Sitting
Yeah.
in your house for a year is not actively grieving. You're just sitting in
Yeah.
your house for a year waiting.
Yeah.
That's why 1 year turns into 2 years, and then 3, and then 4, and then we meet them and it's been 30. It's easy to get into
Yeah.
that routine. But we need to stop internalizing the messages, the misinformation that society has given us and that our cultures have given us about grief. We have to make the choices. Like you said, it's a personal decision and only the griever can make it.
Yeah.
And then we have to decide what we're going to do when whatever time frame we've given ourselves is up. Because
Yes.
you have to at some point live again. Otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah. I
You
agree with
might
you.
as well just crawled into the ground or in the urn or wherever with them.
And a lot of times people say, well, he wouldn't want me to go on the trip. He wouldn't want me to enjoy this ice cream. I think when you're enjoying the ice cream and you're going on a trip, that's a sign of your love for them.
Yeah.
That's how much you love them, right? It was,
Yeah.
I love you. I'm going to take you with me. I'm taking this broken heart with me. You're going to be with me. And
Yeah.
it feels so foreign because you don't know what's the right thing to do.
Yeah. It really does. It does feel foreign. And like you said, you're being graded by the people around you. And so you feel you have to make the decisions of what the masses would want you to do. And I got to say, if Lewis and I were being graded, we certainly got an F because we've never stopped trying to live. But it wasn't like we weren't broken. We just continued doing the things through our brokenness.
But I necessarily wouldn't call that an F. I would definitely call it a C minus. No, I actually would call it an A because you were fighting. You fought your way back.
Right.
I call it an A because you fought your way back. Erica, how many times do we meet grievers that just get stuck and they just stay there and refuse to move on?
It's sad because they think that's what they're supposed to do. And that's the part that's so sad about it.
Yeah.
You drive the ship. You have the say so.
Yeah.
You are the boss of you. So
And don't let others judge you because it's none of their damn business.
yeah, and this is the thing that I tell our mother all the time, who gets stuck in this just for her own personal beliefs. They're going to judge you no matter what. Whether you stay in the room and wear your all black, they're still going to judge you. Whether you take
Yeah.
the vacation and try to have a good time, they're still going to judge you. Whether you buy a program like ours to help find your healing, they're still going to judge you. They're going to
Yeah.
judge you no matter what. So live for
Yeah.
you.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Friends, whenever the choices come up to you, whatever you decide, it's your choice 100%. And if anyone stands in judgment on you, shame on them.
Right.
And make the decision based on your heart and what you can handle that day. If I can handle going on this Puerto Vallarta trip, then by all means, you should do it. Don't hold back because of your grief, because holding back, you're still going to be grieving. Doesn't matter where you go, you will still be grieving. Clients ask us this question all the time. Should I go on the Disneyland trip? Should I go on the Six Flags trip? Should I go out to dinner with so-and-so? You make that decision. But I promise you, you're not going to enjoy it to the fullest extent because your heart is broken.
Right.
But that's okay. It's called grieving and living.
Grieving and living. But I also want to clear up, we are not saying sell everything and move to Italy. That is not what we are saying. Please don't misunderstand.
That was an option?
I'm just, do not do something impulsive like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just talking about if you have something pre-planned or if an opportunity comes up, and we're not saying make those final decisions on impulse.
Yeah.
Please don't misunderstand.
Don't sell your house. Don't sell your car. You shouldn't make any financial decisions. That trip, that Puerto Vallarta trip was already planned prior to Austin. So the decision was we still go on the trip.
Right. And
I agree.
Eat the ice cream, read the books, Go to the movies,
Yeah.
take the walks.
Make his favorite food
Yes.
and
Yes.
enjoy it. Go to
Yeah.
his favorite spots and be
Right.
filled with him. Talk about him often. Those are all the things about grieving and living.
That's it. I carry my boys in my heart and I will forever. And they are with
Yeah.
me wherever I go.
Yeah.
And that's just how I chose to live my life and how I chose to handle my grief.
Yeah. Bye, friends.
Bye.